Hello, this is Katie. Welcome back to my channel. I am going to be using my Paul Rubens tube watercolors. I got a 36 set, although whether you buy the 24 or the 36, they only send you a palette that holds 24 or has 24 wells, which was annoying. I complained to them, but they didn't seem to care, so that's fine. I picked the 24 that I liked the best, I guess. I might get a separate 12 palette to put the other 12 in and just label it or put a sticker on it to show that it's the rest of this set. It's just kind of annoying to me, but it is what it is. It's a nice palette. I just want it to have 36 wells. So I'm just taking it out because I have my color chart, my swatch chart, leaning up against or inside the lid. So I'm not going to be using that as the palette. I'm going to use my porcelain palette, which I prefer anyway. And I'm going to be using this longer number 4 brush from Grumbacher. And I'm just going to start. So this is 6 inches wide, and I have marked it off every 2 inches. So we've got 3 panels here. I am essentially casing or copying or learning from Calligraphy by Mukta. It's M-U-K-T-A on YouTube. I will link the video where she essentially did this. I'm kind of copying that whole idea. I'll link that video down below so that you can see. She sectioned off 3 areas, and I'm essentially kind of painting the same things that she was. I take a different route. She does add color to the background behind all of these, but instead I'm going to do some kind of like speckle flecking dot splotching over it, which I think looks really cool. So this is just kind of fun. I'm going to zoom in a little while so that you can see what I'm doing a little bit closer. What I'm trying to kind of teach myself is using different brushes to create that leaf look. So you start out thin and then you press down the brush. You can see me doing that to create that wider part of the leaf in the middle. And then coming back thin again. There are certain brushes that are better for it than others. I just haven't used this brush really since I bought it, and I wanted to use it. And I think it did okay on that method. It is just very long and skinny, so it's not really intended for that. But I wanted to practice with it anyway. And it also depends on the angle that you're using it. So if you see my hand moving around different areas, because this paper is taped down, if you were to, pull it one direction, doing it backwards from like top to bottom and trying to get that same look on the leaf is kind of difficult. So a few of my leaves are going to look a little wonky, but it's supposed to be kind of like abstract nature looking stuff. And I'm just practicing. So there's that. So this, I don't think I mentioned, is Watercolor Wednesday, number 10, where I just kind of do watercolory things here and there as I'm learning, and tips that I pick up that I can pass on to you. I do want to talk about 2 YouTubers who last night I just joined, which last night, this is Sunday when I'm filming. I try and do some videos ahead of time. So Saturday, this past Saturday night, I joined 2 watercolor artists' Patreon accounts. They're Patreons. Became a patron of them, is I guess what you would call it. So YouTube is where I discovered them. So the first artist is Arlisha Yetzer. If you watercolor, you might have heard from her or heard of her. I believe on YouTube, she calls herself Arlie Bean. On Instagram as well. I'm going to link all of their stuff down below, or at least their YouTube, because they link all of their stuff on their YouTube videos as well, like their Patreon and stuff like that. So you can find them just if you go to one of their videos and look in the description. So I'll link the YouTube channels down below. But the first one is Arlisha, and I joined both of these artists at the $10 level, and with that one you get something. I believe something physical on both. Maybe not on the second person. Arlisha, I did join the $10 level that you'll get a sticker pack at least each month. So that'll be kind of cool to get in the mail. She designs things and scans them in and then prints off stickers, and she mails those out to patrons at certain levels. But then there are also access to unlisted videos that are like vlogs or behind the scenes stuff that I think is just really cool because I really like her style. I don't know that it will ever become a style that I want to pursue, but I do still think I can learn a lot from her. And she's just very awesome as a person. She's very nice, and I love her voice and listening to her talk. And I decided to support her. So she is the first artist that I joined on Patreon. And then the second one is Denise Soden. I don't know if I've heard her say her name, but it's Soden, so I think it's Soden. She is in liquid color on YouTube, I believe on Instagram. I will link her down below. Hers, there are at least like private videos or unlisted videos on YouTube essentially that you get access to as a patron. And I think there are certain other things. You can go to their Patreon and see what's available at different levels. But I joined the $10 level on hers as well. I can't recall exactly what you get. There are a lot of certain things. So on Patreon, there are levels that you can create. There's a first level, and then essentially if you join, like the first level is like $1. Sometimes it's just like you get my gratitude for joining. If you're just giving them $1 a month, it's nothing to you because that's very cheap. But if a bunch of people give them $1 a month, it supports their art. So that's really awesome. So sometimes the dollar level is just their gratitude and their thanks. Or you get listed on the end of their YouTube videos in the credits as being a supporter or a patron. Then there's like $5 level, $10. They can make it whatever they want. Usually it's 15, 20, 25. There are much larger ones where you get, like original artworks every month if you pay so much. But if you go from the $1 level to the $5 level to the $10 level, the $10 will include everything that's in every level below it, as well as more, depending on what's in the $10 level. So I've thought about it a lot. It's $10 a month is something. I already spend that on a sticker pack at the Sticky Club. And so I wanted to pick kind of my two favorite watercolor people I've been learning from and that have already taught me so much. I felt it was only right to support them, but also I can learn much more from them that I can have access to. So I think that'll be really fun. And I love that Patreon exists for people like that. Arlisha also uses Skillshare or teaches on Skillshare. I think they're having kind of some problems lately with how they're paying their teachers, which doesn't sound very good. But Skillshare has been a source of her income as well. So being able to create Skillshare classes and have an income that way is good for them as well. But Patreon, just having the supporters each month, and it shows you how much they make each month off of Patreon, which is cool as well. Just having that support, which is so few dollars per person, but the more people you have, then you've got that ability to keep doing what you're doing and keep teaching people and purchase art supplies and things like that. So I think it's a really good idea, and I'm glad it exists. I am in these roses, we're going to call them roses, drying them with my heat gun in between, and I actually use it on the third panel as well. But it really helps to kind of speed up the process, and I've actually seen even Arlisha she has a green gun that looks just like mine, a heat gun on stuff, so I kind of feel ahead of the game, having been a card maker. I am a card maker, but having had the gun already because I'm a card maker for like heat embossing, I already had the same heat gun that she's using, so it's kind of cool. So you can speed up the process and kind of freeze what you've done in the frame, and then be able to go over it without the water, you know, kind of bleeding into each other. So just being able to, you know, not have to wait for it to dry is very helpful. So I usually have my heat gun nearby when I am watercoloring, especially if I'm doing something that's going to need several layers. And a lot of these on this panel, just like I did with the leaves in the first panel, I do go over kind of the edges with more watercolor, again, after it's dried, to give it that darker look on the edges. And I just think it's really fun and it looks really cool. So I'm trying also the leaf technique where I'm kind of starting out thin and then getting fatter with this paintbrush as well. I think I will experiment more and more. I may even do a watercolor Wednesday where I try this technique with the leaves, where you start out lighter on the brush, then press it down to get the wider part of the leaf and then lift it up again. Try and do that with every brush that I have. Maybe not my square brush, but try that technique with a number of different brushes and just kind of show what each of them would look like, and also just to practice the technique as well, because I really like using it. I like painting leaves. I think leaves are my favorite. I'm not very good at flowers. There are many loose watercolor flower tutorials on YouTube that you could find. I think once I'm more comfortable with them, maybe I'll add to that and make another one. I don't feel that good yet to be able to give a tutorial on that. There are many great watercolor people out there on YouTube that are that actually know what flowers look like, or they have reference books, like a flower encyclopedia or something, an actual reference book with photos in front of them, or they can also look it up. I'm just covering up my other panels here before I splatter down some darker pinky purple because I wanted it to stand out, so it's darker even than the middle of my roses. But there's so many loose watercolor tutorial videos here on YouTube, and I want to watch more of them. Flowers just really, I don't know, they're hard for me because they're not really my thing, and like I don't grow them. I don't have a garden. My mom does, and she loves them, but so it's hard for me to even know what they look like and be comfortable taking that and going even looser with it. For this one, I am pretty much copying what she showed in the video to the best of my ability. And they end up looking pretty cool, and I like what I did. But coming up with that on my own is kind of difficult. So being able to, you know, look at a flower and paint it is kind of hard for me. But it is something that I want to get better at. I want to be able to just kind of have in my head certain flowers that I could just paint without having to look at a reference photo, if that makes sense. But I really like the leaves as well. I did a lot of the first watercolor I did on my watercolor Instagram, I'll link that down below, was the moon shape that I had cased from Farah Bright Art over on Instagram. And I just kind of filled it with different colored leaves. It is pink. It's an all pink, you know, color situation, different shades of pink, but they are leaves. I think what I usually do is I just Google watercolor leaves and then I kind of copy some of those. So I get a lot of ideas from actual watercolor leaves. So I'm not looking at real leaves and painting those. I'm actually just looking at watercolor leaves and copying those. So without a reference photo, I'm not very good, but I am trying to learn more and be better. So that's what we're here for. So on the purple flowers, I will add more purple to that later. But I did speed up the drying, and I actually think it looks kind of cool how it dried with my heat gun there. And then I just mixed a green from my palette with a little bit of blue to get kind of a different third green to work with in our panels here. A turquoisey green. And then just making sure that that green stem touches the flower a little bit. That's why I also wanted to dry the purple flowers so that when I added the stem bit, it didn't bleed too high up into the flower, because that's what it would have done if it was still wet. And then just adding some more leaves. I'm using my long brush again to kind of fill in these white areas. I really like this brush and the way it feels when I use it. I think I maybe need to just kind of practice with it more and figure out what it's best for. I think it really depends on the angle you're using it at, but I don't know that it's best for what I'm trying to do at this moment. This one got a little thick there. But I really like this color I came up with. I think I'll try and remember those two. So here I'm adding, actually just using the same purple that was already there, and just adding some more to the edges. And I think I'll let that air dry. I don't think I use the heat gun after this. So I'm going to take the purple and just make a deeper purple and not add so much water so that we get that dark purple for the splatters. I'm just trying to protect the other panels and my surface as much as I can. Whenever I do this, this usually ends up like on my face, unfortunately. The splatter, however I'm doing it, it mostly flicks like upward. It's kind of strange. It goes everywhere but where I'm trying to point it. I don't really know what I'm doing wrong, but for the final piece here, I think I'm actually going to dry I dry it after I peel up all the tape. So I'm going to peel up all my washi. This is like Christmas washi tape. It's like 1/4 of an inch, I think. It came in a set of washi tape, Christmassy washi tape that I had bought, but it was the perfect width that I wanted to use on this. So I'm just going to dry that right panel a little bit, and that will be it. So I'll link the video where I got the inspiration down below, and also the two artists that I talked about down below. And thank you for watching and following my watercolor journey, and I will see you guys for Freestyle Friday. Thanks for watching. Bye.